Looks like I about have everything together.
I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled town council meeting for Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. So glad all of you are here, and this is a packed house this evening. We would like to see this every council meeting, so come back in 2 weeks. All right, let's do it. We're going to go ahead and get through the agenda. We're going to move to the invocation, and what we'd like to do this evening is together in unity, let's take a moment of silence. So thank you. Thank you so much. If you're willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we move on with the business, I would like to recognize a few dignitaries, all of your dignitaries, but these are special dignitaries. I would like to have you to stand to be recognized, please. So former Apex Town Council member Christine Hilt, please stand. Okay, see, good. We appreciate that. Thank you. Former Town Council member Carl Hilton. And also saw former Town Council member Doug Meckes. Is he still here? Did he leave? Okay, all right, so thank you. And then we have our Board of Adjustment Chair, Robert Carmack. All right, Robert. All right, thank you for being here. All right, we'll move now to the consent agenda. You have the consent agenda in front of you. Are there any recommended changes before we approve it? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion Zickerman, second. Again, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move now to updates. Town Manager Randy Vosburgh.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council as well. I just have one item for you. It's a bit of good news. I want to recognize, and he'll be presenting in front of us later. So I want to present and congratulate John Mullis and Bill Spare, who couldn't be here, but is our fleet manager. Our fleet department was awarded the 2025 Innovation Award in Excellence from Geotab, and it was related to our telemetry program that we have in place. So wanted to recognize them and their efforts and say congratulations to John and his team. And that is all that I have for you this evening.
Wow.
I know.
That's it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're in good shape then. I like it. All right, moving on now to the presentations. We have quite a few this evening. We'll start with the Apex Rotarian Day, Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. So as we normally do, if I can have my council colleagues to join me out in front, and we'll present the proclamation in unity. Again, I'm so delighted to present this proclamation for Apex Rotarian Day. We have quite a few Rotarians here, and we'll have it kicked off tonight by Councilmember Terry Mahaffey.
All right, thank you, Mayor. This is Apex Rotarian Day 2025. Whereas the Rotary Club was first started by the vision of a single person, Mr. Paul Harris, who was a licensed attorney in Chicago, and whereas the first ever Rotary Club met on February 23rd, 1905, in Chicago, Illinois, and was intended to be a space where professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful, lifelong friendships through community service. And
whereas over the years, the Rotary's vision has spread rapidly throughout many states and gradually expanded to humanitarian service, which has allowed Rotary members to serve people in their communities and around the world. And
whereas the Apex community explored having a Rotary Club in 1969, and the first club was established in 1979. Apex Rotary members embody the Rotary motto, which is service above self, by volunteering more than 1,000 hours each year in their community. And
whereas the Apex Rotary donates more than $50,000 to various organizations each year through scholarships to students attending Apex High School, Apex Friendship High School, and Wake Technical Community College. And
Whereas the Apex Rotary has been instrumental in leading many events and bringing people together within our town over many decades, but especially through our community's annual Christmas parade, which is attended by thousands each year.
Now, therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of the town of Apex, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, as Apex Rotarian Day in the town of Apex, and call upon all residents to thank the club members for their exemplary public spirit and for sharing their extraordinary talents with our community. So if I could have all the Rotarians that come up and receive this proclamation. So thank you. Right this way. We're going to do a line, just shake all the council members' hands right here. There you go. All right. Thank you, President. All right.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thanks for all you do.
Where do you want us to circle to?
President Roy Moore, if you would come to the center, please.
Everybody, let's get, one or two more people on this side. Squeeze in as much as you possibly can.
Oh, why are you standing behind there?
Can you come forward just a little bit?
I'm not saying call him Billy, I'm saying he's vertically challenged.
I know. We should have brought his.
I recognize.
Carl, I think you need to elbow you right to the front.
Alright, everybody this way.
All right, thank you to our Apex Rotarians. The after party is at Dallas Chicken, right, Brian? All right, our next proclamation this evening is National Volunteer Month, April 2025. Mr. Gant.
Whereas in 1974, President Richard Nixon established National Volunteer Month, which serves as an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the invaluable contributions of volunteers who dedicate themselves to making a positive impact in their community. And
Whereas volunteerism is a vital part of the town of Apex, strengthening bonds between neighborhoods and organizations, fostering civic engagement, and addressing the needs of the community. And
Whereas the town's volunteer base spans all ages, from elementary school students to senior citizens, creating an inclusive community where individuals of all ages and abilities can contribute their time and talents in a variety of meaningful ways. And
Whereas the town of Apex is grateful to the 2,200 volunteers that dedicated over 55,000 hours of service in 2024 by coaching youth athletic teams, cleaning up parks and trails, assisting at town and community events, and serving their community in many different ways. And
whereas the town of Apex encourages residents to learn more about the town's volunteer program by visiting apexnc.org/volunteer and to join us at upcoming volunteer opportunities.
Now, therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of Apex, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 National Volunteer Month in the town of Apex and extend my sincere appreciation to all those who volunteer their time and abilities to help make our community a better place. And tonight, receiving this proclamation are many people. You know who you are. Come up. All right. We also have the Apex Youth Council. You're part of this. Please come up for the picture as well. And can we have Lisa Roschke to come up, please, also, who coordinates a lot of our volunteers. And did I miss anyone? All right. Okay, we have everybody. Okay.
Yeah, so y'all come.
Thank you, guys.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So.
How we're doing this? Yeah, we're good.
Should we each hold each side? Yeah. Okay, wait, can we have like a...
Some pressure on us, right?
We're gonna need to balance it out. So
Yeah, we're gonna
slide
definitely-
this way. Slide this way. There you go. Get center. Perfect.
A little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, can I have you to hold this side here? There you go. Just look at the camera.
Lisa, squeeze in just a little bit more. Yeah. All right, one more. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks again.
That was a challenge, I feel like.
No, you good. Take your time. All right. All right, one of the cool honors we get to do here as mayor and council is recognize state champions. How about that? We got state champions in Apex. I love it. So we're going to start tonight with the first state champion recognition. This is the 2025 state champions for cheer partner stunt. And receiving the recognition and honor is Holly Coleman, Winter Davenport, Rihanna Martin, Lauren McGinnis, and Caitlin Wayne. Is that right? All right. And then we have Assistant Athletic Director Scott Ferguson and our great principal of Apex High School, Elaine Hoffman. So please come up, receive it. All right.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Have their banner.
All right, so we're gonna let Coach Taylor Hartley to come up, and you want to say a few words or show us the banner. How about that? All right, how about that? Look at that banner.
All right, I'm getting it. I'm gonna say a few words.
Do I want to say it?
You want to do a picture real quick?
We'll do the picture first.
Okay.
Y'all look like y'all all set. You want to do the banner?
We want the banner. All right, okay.
Yeah, go with the banner.
All right.
I saw that, right? You guys see it? I knew you would say that. I knew it.
I don't want to block. I don't want to block.
This is that. We get you.
Oh, yeah, y'all good. There we go. There we go. Perfect.
All right.
Okay, I don't really have a whole lot of words to say, but I will just say thank you to Mayor Jacques and the whole Apex community for honoring our hardworking athletes. They work really hard, especially the cheerleaders, for a very long time during the school year. So we just thank everyone, especially Mayor Jacques, for just honoring them and always supporting us at Apex High School. So thank you, Mayor Jacques.
So much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, special recognition for the Apex High School men's 100 backstroke state champion. I'll let Assistant Athletic Director Scott Ferguson call up the recipient.
All right, we have Abe Therakine up here and his assistant coach, Alicia Connor. If you guys will come up here.
Yeah.
All right, Abby, I want to read something to you real quick. If you would stand here. You stand right there. All right. On your recent achievement of being the 2024-25 men's backstroke state champion, SWAC Swimmer of the Year. No words exist to express how extremely proud I and members of the Apex Town Council are of you and the spotlight you have brought to our amazing town. Your hard work, determination, and commitment to excellence is truly commendable. Thank you for representing the Peak so well. Signed on this 25th day of March 2025 by yours truly. This is for you.
Better balance. Better balance here. Yeah. That's good.
I feel like a counterweight.
Just real quickly, I'm so proud of Abe for what he did. He not only won state champion in the 100 backstroke, he was also 4th place in the 200 IM, competed in 2 other events at states. So he was busy all day that day and still brought out the win at the end of the day. So appreciate that for him.
Yeah, of course. Thank you again to our amazing Apex High School for the state champions here. And I just wanted to be known that I do have an Apex High School and Apex Friendship pin on. So just want to let y'all know that. Thank y'all so much. Another round of applause for our recipient. All right, we got one more recognition. All right, we have special recognition for McKenna Hartman, senior at Apex Friendship High School, environmentally friendly dog waste bag. So I'll let her come up and we'll explain more. Come on up. All right, McKenna, right here. All right, McKenna, thank you so much for being here this evening. I want to present you this prestigious Peak Award for your outstanding leadership in promoting the town's environmental sustainability goal and your unwavering commitment to advocating for eco-friendly practices. You are inspiring others, including us as a town, to continue to think creatively on how to achieve our sustainability goals. As you continue to rise, know you are encouraging and inspiring others, including me. So sign this 25th day of March 2025. This is to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Pretty even. I could use a couple more steps.
Yep, got it.
Wait.
Oh.
Just to give a little bit more context, McKenna actually had a school project, and she came up with the idea of the bags, and she just didn't stop there with an idea. She actually took steps forward and went to the Bella Casa HOA and said, we need to get these in Bella Casa. So now Bella Casa has these environmentally friendly bags. So thank you so much. All right, good job. Okay, all right. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. I knew you had more to say. Okay, it's back to Commander Randy Mossberg, who has a few words.
Thank you, sir. I forgot to plug two events. So I'm sorry to our Parks and Recreation staff. I wanted to mention our street hockey opening on this Saturday from 2 to 4. That'll be at the Apex Community Park. So that's a pretty big event that we've got coming. And the other, which is April 5th, is the Apex Holy Celebration. That'll be from April 5th from 2 to 6, and that's at Salem Middle. Right? Very good.
Yeah.
I want to get those two events plugged in there. Thank you.
We have that small event from 2 to 4 on Saturday, right? That's right.
Small event, major event, right?
Only a few Hurricane players.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We got Hurricane players there. The
Yes.
facility. I saw a video recently by one of our members, but the facility looks great. So everyone's done a great job on that.
Yes, sir. Great job. Great job. All right, we'll move now to regular meeting agenda. Are there any recommended changes?
We have a presentation still, right?
Oh, we still have one more? Oh, my fault. I moved too fast. John Mullis, I do love you, man. I apologize. I wasn't trying to overlook you. All right, so we have yard waste program update. Mr. John Mullis, Public Works.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My pleasure to be in front of you again to present an update on yard waste. Just to give you an update, we had a meeting, work session back in March, and some of the part of my presentation will be based on some of the asks that you had during that meeting. So really just wanted to follow back up and let you know where we are with what your request was, as well as receive your feedback and answer any questions that you may have. Okay. During that work session, three main key points that came out of that work session was that council wanted to see and hear a little bit more about our data collection as far as what's actually on the street. You know, the materials that's on the street, the size of the piles, tonnage, and the geographic location, so you can identify really what's actually on the ground. Also, you want some enforcement, and so we have worked on a draft that currently is in legal that at some point we'll be able to bring back before you. And also you asked to do a cost analysis of where we currently are, as well as where we may want to go with potential program changes, whether that's containerization or stay the way we are. So unfortunately, the cyber attack, we were impacted by that. So we had to reconstruct a lot of our data Actually, it was a good thing though. We went basically invoice line item by line item to rebuild everything, put all that in Power BI. And now we've got a really good way to not only just look at tonnage, but what types of tonnage, leaves, grass, commingle. So we're going to really be able to give you at some point in the future a really good analysis. And of course, the reference is the December 14th, 23 council meeting, as well as the March 19th, 24th council meeting. So a lot of that information is still valid. We just want to come back and give an update. Part of part one of data collection, you asked for pile size information, so we created a workflow with our data operations where we use applications on the phone for field staff to actually record what is on the street and where. And so this is part of just a few screenshots of that information, but I did just want to share with you where we are data-wise. We're recommending continue to run the field collection through September to get a full year of data. We've got 8 months of data, but when we first started, we didn't have we had some tweaks to make. But right now, we've actually collected 28,000 data points. The pile sizes that we chose were pile sizes under 1 cubic yard, which is 3 by 3 by 3. And the second group that we started recording was 1 to 2 cubic yards, and then 2 cubic yards. If you may remember from the presentation, we were talking about a pickup truck size of yard waste sitting on the street. To give you a context of that 29,000, almost 29,000 data points that we have so far, 88% of everything, now this is just brush and limbs. Everything that's vacuum is not included in this, but 88% of everything that we're finding laying on the curb for collection, 88% is under 1 cubic yard. So that's really encouraging. 7% of these data points are between 1 and 2 cubic yards, and 5% of that is larger stuff. So we have really good data, but we really want to start collecting. Obviously, we'll continue to collect, but I think the real benefit to council will be when we get into the pruning season. I was given a brief this morning. It's insane, some of the limbs and trimming that we have. So we think it's important to really give you really great information when that point in time comes. The yard waste ordinance, we're really recommending that we get a handle on some of our most challenging things, which is contractor waste. So unfortunately, we have folks that will ride into a neighborhood with a pickup truck, loppers, and they go house to house because they know they don't have to take it away. And so we feel like that's really burdensome. So we hope to address some enforcement provisions and come back and ask for some guidance on how we can eliminate, yard waste that's harvested from commercial providers. And I know we did mention that during the last session. And then lastly, the cost analysis. Now that we have all of our disposal data back in good shape, and as we continue to collect the pile size data, we'll be working with the budget team to try to get you an update on where we are operationally, as well as providing a cost analysis of the field data that we've collected while we continue to get pile sizes. This will then be presented back to you where you can make provide some guidance as to where you would like for us to take the program. Great news here. We completed our loose leaf collection, over 2,100 tons of leaves with over 800 vacuum truck loads. So we kept that out of the storm drain, and leaves did fall earlier this year, so we jumped right on it. We had a lot of success with our equipment running, did a lot of preemptive strike ahead of the leaf season to get the equipment in good shape. The second thing I want to let you know about is this year at EarthFest, we're going to really focus on grass cycling as your free fertilized solution. Grass is one of those things that's just not a good reuse for it. when it comes back to data, I'll just share just a little bit with you. 72% of our yard waste, 71% actually, is leaves and grass. That's split 35-35 pretty much. So we get as much grass as we do leaves, and that's 71% of all of our volume. Well, we can't do anything about the leaves. We actually love leaves. Leaves mean trees, so we like that. But grass, if we can encourage our residents to leave it in their yard and grass cycle, that will help. Not only do we have a challenge getting rid of it, but it gets in the street and the curbs and storm system. So that's one of the things that we're going to really try to ramp up on and head up, is just some communication around grass cycling this upcoming year. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, best I can anyway.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muller. Any questions?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
So with the grass recycling, is it difficult to get rid of because of the pesticides and things like that are typically put on them?
That is part of it, and that was one of the disposal facilities does test, so that is definitely a component. Currently, the facility that we use does not test. They commingle it in with a lot of other things that's not sold as organic, but it's just not a good reuse. It's just something that nobody really wants. Leaves are rich in nutrients. I mean, so is grass, but it just breaks down. And then another thing is we have so many more warm season grasses, zoysia, things, Bermuda, and when it hits the impeller in the vacuum, it just makes a dust cloud, and then you're just left with just vapor and just very fine material. So just grass in general is challenging as far as what to do with it.
Okay. Thank you for that. The other question I have is people who hire contractors to come and do their yard work for them, are they required to remove from the site any waste? Or are they allowed to just kind of leave it where it's at, or what?
If commercial contractors, it's common in most municipalities that if you hire a landscaper for anything, they take it with them. And a lot of them, especially on the tree companies, they charge to get rid of it. And tree companies that do business in Apex know that we'll get it. Now, we do have size limits, so we do have a little bit of ability to say, no, it's too large. But when it comes to the smaller limb material, we just don't have a way to really stop that. But ideally, anything that's done by a contractor, grass, limbs, leaves, they remove it.
Or should remove it?
They should, that's right. They should, that's right.
And actually, I've got a question with regard to enforcement, because I do think that it is, the tough part, I think, is us getting the word out about this, and I'm real interested in not only your thoughts, but also the thoughts from the other departments with how do we best get folks to understand that, yeah, if you've got a commercial entity that's coming in to do the work, they've got to take it with them, as well as if you're, you've got somebody who's just the fly-by-night group that just shows up, they also should be taking it with them.
What's commonplace is that we really do some communication to our residents, individual residents, to make them aware. This is our ordinance, this is our policy. If you hire anyone to do your work, they are responsible. Unfortunately, we don't know all the landscape contractors. We don't have a registration system. So it's going to be really up to the residents to understand that, hey, if I hire someone to take away the yard waste, hire someone to do the work, they should take away the yard waste. But it will take messaging.
Yeah, and I think the implicit portion of that is if we start to go into where you're getting charged for the takeaway of these things, that will certainly create, I think, a feedback loop with many residents with regard to reminding their contractors and others who are doing this to take that sort of stuff away.
Right.
Thanks.
I have one more question. You
Sure.
mentioned the facility that we bring the yard waste to. When we spoke in one of the previous sessions that you mentioned, there was some concern about that facility running out of capacity. Is that still an issue, or has that been resolved?
The current, to be clear, we use several different facilities, but for leaves and grass, we use Greenway Waste. They currently have applied for an expansion to be able to take yard waste and take more yard waste. We do not have a contract. It's pretty much pay as we dispose situation. But if they get an expansion, they've indicated to me that they will have enough capacity to be able to assist us. So if we're able to get into a contractual arrangement with them, that would be very beneficial. The other facilities we use for chips and brush seem to have a lot of capacity. And again, that's a pay-as-you-dispose situation. That's not a contracted situation. So fingers crossed that everything works out and we'll be able to work something out disposal-wise. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Mullis? Hearing none. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you all. I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the regular meeting agenda?
So moved.
All right, Killingsworth.
Second.
Second, Zigerman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We move now to public forum. This is an opportunity for the community to speak, present any concerns. And please remember the 3-minute policy unless you have 4 more people. And we'll go 9 minutes on that. So we'll start with the first on the list, Beth Bordeaux. And also give your name and address. Speaking. So that's 9 minutes for her. Who are your 4 here tonight, ma'am? You got 4? You got 4 people?
More than 4, yeah.
More than 4, okay.
Yeah,
that's
if you'll
great.
raise your hands.
right, thank
you. Yeah, I'm Beth Bordeaux. I live at 1044 Branch Line Lane in Apex. Yeah, I have at least 4 advocates with me here. I'm concerned about the lack of affordable housing choice in Apex. I believe that solving this problem requires that elected officials, town staff, and community members collaborate on creating creative approaches to increase housing choices that are affordable for the low to moderate income households. And that is households that have incomes of less than $30,000 a year, and those that are up to 80% of the area median income, which in 2024 was about $78,000 a year for a family of 2, or $98,000 a year for a family of 4. My daughter and son-in-law recently moved back to the area. They have 1 child, and both parents work full-time. My daughter's a bookkeeper for an accounting firm, and my son-in-law is an airplane mechanic. They have good credit and steady employment. For 9 months, they paid more than 50% of their income for a rental unit in Apex before moving to Morrisville, where they fortunately found a 4-bedroom house for less than the 2-bedroom apartment cost them here. My dad is also considering his options to move closer to either my family or my brother in Wilmington. He has found an independent living community with meals, transportation, and other senior amenities covered for the same price in Wilmington that my daughter and her husband were paying for an apartment in Apex. Similar options in Apex were double the cost. Recent data analyzed by Phil Welch using the U.S. Census and American Community Survey shows that from 2018 to 2023, the percentage of Apex homeowners who were cost burdened has decreased slightly. That's homeowners, has decreased slightly for incomes between $20,000 to $75,000. But during that same period of time, the percentage of Apex renters who are cost burdened, and that's paying 30% or more of their income for housing, has increased across all income levels, most significantly for that same group of between $35,000 and $75,000. Also note, and you have the charts in front of you, that there are 100% of renters with incomes less than $20,000, and 99% of all renters with incomes between $20,000 and $35,000 are cost burdened in Apex. These households are our essential workers, seniors, single parents, and other vulnerable neighbors. Of significant importance, this data does not show the number of households that have been evicted or experienced foreclosure, those who have become homeless, those who have had to move out of Apex to find affordable housing, those who have been unable to move to Apex because of the lack of affordable housing here, even though they work here or have family and other support systems here. It doesn't even show the number of households who are severely cost burdened, paying more than 50% of their income for housing. This is just one small data slice. It does indicate the need for updating the affordable housing plan, which is currently underway. The landscape has changed, and the data I just shared indicates that affordable housing is more challenging than ever. I watch the housing market, and I see small homes in naturally occurring affordable areas being sold for $300,000 and more. Townhomes are now regularly at the $400,000+ mark. Today, there is one home on the market in Apex that is at $250,000 or less. That's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 581 square foot home on the border of Holly Springs, and it is listed for $239,900. The average 2-bedroom rental in Apex is $1,650. Just creating smaller, denser developments will not solve the affordability problem. $240,000 for a 581 square foot home is not affordable. Developers who are only seeking high revenues will see an advantage to building tiny luxury apartments that continue to be unaffordable. As elected officials, you have the responsibility and the power to make change. I ask for your leadership in this effort in 4 key ways. 1, build socioeconomic equity into the 2025 Affordable Housing Plan by requiring and ensuring that those who need affordable housing are the primary residents providing input to the plan. Recognize that there may be a loss of trust between lower income residents and town officials, and take steps to rebuild trust. Move community engagement sessions into the communities most affected, and give power to their voice. Back up their input with direct funding allocations. Number 2, consider affordable housing as a core value in all zoning, planning, and policy actions. Make all decisions with this in mind. Will it help or will it hurt move the needle on affordable housing? Number 3, set aside additional funding to support increased affordable housing choices, funding that is directly and 100% dedicated to increasing the number of units affordable for housing households making 80% of area median income or lower. And number 4, ensure most integrated, ensure more integrated affordable housing, not clustered small units, and affordable housing in targeted neighborhoods and segregated apartment complexes. If you're concerned that any of what I'm suggesting is outside of the legal authority of the town, I recommend allocating additional funding to litigation budget. Work with local advocates. Explore ways that other communities have gained increased local authority, and either through their own initiatives or by petitioning state legislators. Know that making our community a more inclusive place will be hard work, and commit to doing what it takes to move the needle. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Elizabeth Stitt.
Elizabeth Ray Stitt, 3113 Friendship Road, Mayor, Town Council, good evening. So I'm back to talk about eminent domain, part 2. So I don't know if you guys keep track of how many times you have done eminent domain. So I did a public records request, and I'm happy to say it came back fairly quickly, so I want to thank the town for that. But I only went back 6 years when all of you were elected. I didn't want you to be responsible for things that you didn't vote on. So from 2019 through February of 2025, which is basically 6 years, there were 117 properties that were included in a total of 23 resolutions. So 23 times you guys went into closed session, you came out and you voted to authorize eminent domain. So I do want to be clear for everybody, eminent domain is basically 2 steps. One, the town takes time to vote to have the powers and do the resolution, and then separately the town then can take the legal work to the courts. 117 properties. These are people who have family, friends, neighbors who are impacted by this. This is a black cloud. It's one that obviously I have had over my head for the last 3 years since I first got the town's letter about wanting to take a portion of 2 of my properties. I think you forget the personal impact. And the reason I say that is for the last 3 years, I want you to go back to your emails and I want to see how many times you reached out to me. I come here on a regular basis, pleading my case that these are my most important assets. This is how I create generational wealth for my children. You're taking my trees that are desperately needed in the community. I am one person who actually wants to keep their trees. I don't want to sell out. But this project that you're going to do to my property is going to require me to timber a larger part of my forestry plan because I have no choice that you guys are starting this. So Apex claims to be transparent, but I couldn't find any of these resolutions anywhere on the website. I go to the Big Branch Forest Main page that was set up to keep us property owners notified of what is happening, and guess what? It's not on there. So I asked for the resolution for my property to be posted because I think it's important for the community to know that you are using these powers to take property to do projects. I think if you put out all the good stuff about the town, own up the other parts. This is not all Pleasantville. And so when you put out information, understand you need to be fair. Own what you have done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Miskin.
Hey, good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Mary Miskimen, 3177 Ratama Run. I'm going to be really quick tonight so you guys can move on. I'm just checking in on the utility update. I know that you're having a town hall, and I think that was on your agenda. We're at 2018 signatures as of today, and I had a couple people just reach out and kind of wanted to know where we were. I think the last time Randy and I spoke, or emailed, I should say, that we were in phase 2 of 3 phases, and I understand that phase 2 is the most challenging or difficult. So do we have any results? Do we know why? I know you said it was extended because they found other irregularities, but do we have any more information on what those irregularities are? So thank you very much.
Thank you for speaking tonight. All right. Beth Bland.
Beth Bland, 3724 Friendship Road. So this is an update for you, although I feel like you're already aware. And once again, I'm piggybacking off of Elizabeth, although I didn't know what she was going to say. It pretty much is, you know, our main focus, what's going on. Tom and I received our letter of intent to condemn our property. I have it in hand. And it's for the Big Branch Forest Main. It's a 30-day notice. The date of the condemnation is going to be around April 9th. The letter says 0.74 acres. That's not correct. The forest main, as it goes through our property, makes portions of our property unusable. It's at least an acre of a 5-acre property, 20%, over 70 trees. The letter also states it contains an offer based on the fair market value of the property being taken. It's not even close. Why does this town undervalue property they are condemning? You do. It shouldn't be our responsibility to tell you what our property is worth. You don't do a good job valuing the properties. As advised by the Town of Apex attorney, we are consulting with our own attorney. I continue to be surprised and shocked by what this town feels they can do, and this was quoted in the letter, to serve the public better. Councilmember Mahaffey, and I'm not picking on you, but you're the one that posts the most as far as what's going on. I am on Nextdoor, because it's the Apex New Hill next door. I like to know what's going on around us. So you posted things concerning what happened at the town council meeting on March the 11th, but you only commented what you want the citizens of Apex to know. And it was good things. It wasn't bad things. But, you know, interestingly, what was posted by the Holly Springs update, and this was the same town council meeting, their headline was, Apex residents voice concerns over flooding, eminent domain, and growth at town council meeting. There is no mention by you in your post of any of that. That's it.
Thank you. Don Cozzolino.
Dawn Cozzolino, 3632 Bosco Road. So I'm going to tag on what my community is talking about, eminent domain, such a devastating thing to people. And I don't think the weight is really felt in this room, but I just wanted to just reiterate some of the thoughts I had. I mean, you got to remember, there's a perfect site on the south side, no trees, an electric utility line running for miles, and would cost less, and this is the direction you wanted to take it. Sewer is an agreement with Viridia. It's a private thing. It's not a public thing. I know the town attorney is going to tell me there's a North Carolina law and eminent domain. It is very broad, but it's not just, okay? It's not just. It's a land grab. That's what it is. It's simple as that. That's what eminent domain does. And the crazy thing is, some of these properties, I mean, they're under ETJ, extraterritorial, there's my friends, jurisdiction. It's like you put a blanket over it and call it your own. And the other half are in unincorporated Wake County. Has nothing to do with Apex. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, it's our property, it's our freedoms, it's our land. And I'm sure everybody too has seen what's been going on with all the orange snow fencing and all the trees running in and out with the big tractor trailers. And I'm sure people, Apex, you can't put a finger on it. What's that name? What is happening? It's called infilling. Ooh, that's a very nice name for a very cold practice. It just means the development is happening too much, too fast, and with no limits. You've heard from your residents numerous times, in fact, my neighbors, but also you had translators for the mobile park, other things. People sent emails, done online surveys, no consequence, no feeling, no thought, no emotion. But the good stuff, right? You want to post the good things. And that's nice to do, but this is a serious issue. These are serious things. These are very important things, and they control people's livelihoods. And they affect us deeply, to an emotional level, to just that we can't do what we want to do on our property, which isn't the American way at all. And I did see in the workshop, you have page 39, on density, increasing the housing density. Do you really think that's going to help the schools, help the roads, help anybody, help nature? Are we going to have any nature left? And what are we going to leave for the future of the kids of Apex? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone who came out to speak tonight. That closes out our public forum, and any request for a response we'll take care of. So thank you. All right, moving on now to the old business. And the presentation tonight will be Social District Progress Update. Anticipated effective date of June 1st, 2025. Presented by Economic Development Director, Ms. Joanna Helms. Going to give them time to exit before you start your presentation. That's great. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Town Council and Mayor. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about our pending social district for downtown Apex. First, just a quick little background. In July of 22, a North Carolina General Assembly session law was ratified that would allow governments to establish social districts within their jurisdiction. And these social districts allow for shared spaces where on-premises licensed establishments like bars and restaurants may sell alcoholic beverages in designated containers to then be taken into the common areas for consumption, i.e. outside of their business. Town staff began exploring this option for a social district shortly after that session law passed. And then in December of 2024, at a work session, Town Council directed staff to develop a social district plan and an ordinance to be considered in 2025. And so indeed, staff has been working on an ordinance and a management plan. Tonight, we're going to present to you a couple scenarios and some decision points that are still to be made for the social district plan. Staff does anticipate that we would receive a general consensus and some direction on each scenario from Town Council tonight. So I have a brief PowerPoint presentation that I'll walk through. Let's see. Okay, so for our discussion and direction tonight, we really have two areas that we'll be reviewing. One has to do with the signage, and this again is signage for those businesses that will be participating. And I'm going to present to you scenario A and scenario B. And then we will go on to a conversation about the social district required containers. And there'll be two decisions or topics there to discuss. One is the type of the cup, and then one is the reordering process. So that's the gist of what we'll be discussing and getting directive here tonight. Okay. So this has to do with, relates to all the businesses that decide to participate in the social district, or we call it opt-in. And this has to do with the displays, the signage that's going to be required in their place of business. So scenario A would have the town creating and developing two signs, two types of signage. And I'll caveat this by saying that the final verbiage and the graphics and all that will be very much well thought out and addressed by our communications department, making sure that it's clear, concise, very obvious, and looks good and all the things. So this is just a representative of what that could look like in the message that it will send. Okay, so again, scenario A is dealing with two signs. And the first is a green light, green light. And basically what that says is if a business has this sign, patrons can, that business is participating in the social district. Patrons can come inside, they can purchase a drink, and they can take that drink outside of that business. And a patron that has purchased a drink in another establishment can take that drink into that establishment. So green, green. Yes, you can buy it here and take it out. And yes, you can come in from another place with a drink not from this establishment and consume that here. And then the other part of scenario A would be establishing the town again creates and provides a sign for the businesses that are participating that's a green light, yellow light. So think about green light go and yellow light maybe wait for a second. Now these signage in the business would indicate that patrons could come inside, that yes, they're participating in the social district. Patrons can come inside, purchase a beverage, and then leave with that beverage outside. However, patrons that purchase a beverage in a different business cannot then come in that business. Okay? Now, I'll say all this again, we're talking about the signage only. The businesses will decide which sign they want. We're just going to make them available to them. So it'll be up to the business to decide green light, if you will, or green light, yellow light. So in scenario A, we're basically providing all the signage and all the wording, we hope, that will make it very clear for those that when they enter the business, they'll walk, as they walk into that business, they'll see the signage, and it should be very clear and obvious to them which way this business is participating, all in or kind of half in, if you will. So again, the signage will do the talking in scenario A. Scenario B is a little bit simpler. Again, the town will be creating the signage and providing that to the businesses that are participating. However, it will just be one sign, kind of a green light sign, if you will, that will indicate, yes, this business is participating. Yes, you can come in, purchase your beverage, and then you may leave with it. That's simply it. So in this scenario, the responsibility is really going to be more on the business owner or manager or folks within that business to make the patron aware of the situation. Yes, we know we're participating in the social district, but you can't come in here with another beverage from outside. So again, that would place much more responsibility on the business owner. If it's just that simple sign of one green light that indicates they are a participant in the social district. So again, scenario A, providing two signs available for those participating with a lot more hopefully a lot more clear messaging. But then if you don't want a lot of signage or not a lot of messaging, then we'll have a simpler sign with just the green light. Mayor, would you like me to stop there and discuss before we go to the next? Okay.
Any questions or discussion on this one?
I do have, go ahead.
Ms. Helms, yeah, one of the benefits of waiting a little bit is that we've gotten some experience from other municipalities in North Carolina that have done this. So it seems like this is one that probably has been done both ways, and certainly I would think there may be a preference from other communities that had advised you guys about which is a more clear and straightforward way of doing this. Right, I assume? Or not, maybe?
Scenario A.
Okay, is that why it's A, not B? Okay. That's what I figured. Thank you.
So I know that the slide explicitly says for opt-in businesses, but what if a business doesn't want to opt in? Like, is there any signage for a business that will opt out altogether?
So businesses that opt out are not required to do anything. However, the town is going to proactively make signage for them as well with a simple green light or red light.
And that includes ABC permitted businesses? Because I see that for a store or like a retail outlet, but we're talking specifically for ABC permitted businesses right now.
What we're discussing tonight is only for those ABC permitted
Right,
businesses.
but what if there's a ABC permitted business that does not want to participate in the social district?
They're not obligated to do anything, but if they would like, they may receive a sign that has just the red light on it. Correct.
You started the kind of the conversation with citing the the laws that were passed in 2022, and you specifically stated that it allows for beverage to be taken into common areas. At some point, there was some question about the legality of taking a beverage from one establishment into another establishment. Have we sorted that out? That's been vetted. That's legally possible.
That's an updated part of the law, if you will. Okay. Correct. So initially, correct.
Okay.
So that is the updated version of the law, if you will, that you can actually take it from another establishment into a different establishment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So reading through this, the first thing that occurred to me, I was a little concerned about causing confusion with all these signs and all these colors. What does it mean? And one thing I'll point out is like green light in the presentation, it means two different things. Like if you're an ABC permanent business is opting in, green light means you can purchase and take alcoholic beverage out of into the Disney Social District. If you're a non-ABC business, green light means you can bring in alcoholic beverage. And that was really my only concern here with the signage, is that there's different colors, different types, and different meanings in different contexts. And I worry that'll cause confusion to the residents who are participating in this, and some inconvenience on business owners. So I guess, can you comment on that, like based on experience in other towns? Because to me, again, no experience with this. I haven't talked to other towns, but it seems the best arrangement of signs is just dead simple. Either red light, you can't do it, or green light, you can. And you see a green light, we're participating, we're doing it. You see a red light, I don't go in there with my drink, I don't come out with a drink.
Correct, but if you opt in and you're participating, you can opt in two different ways. It's not just a simple yes or no. It's a yes, but there's two ways to do it, or a no.
And I can say, canvassing businesses downtown, there are several that would like to do that you just mentioned.
like opt in but not allow external drinks to come here.
Correct.
Makes sense. They want to sell their own drinks, right?
And again, this was just, what's the right word? This was just a generalization of how, we could do some signage. It might not necessarily be a true, like a green light. I mean, we don't know yet. We're still working that out, but this was just one way to depict it.
No, I mean, my only real concern is just how do we effectively communicate that to the residents so that the right message, and they don't get misinformed, and they don't, cause some stress or an enforcement issue with the business.
I'm sure it'll be an education process and some getting used to.
Imagine there's street boards you can put out on the sidewalk as well that clearly indicate what means what for a period of time for residents as well.
With regard to the signs, and I know that we're still working through the cost, but we, the town, are providing the signs to the businesses that are opting in.
Correct.
Do we have an idea of the cost yet?
No.
And so piggybacking on that, and I know this was not necessarily part of what you just talked about, but it is in the documents that were attached to the agenda. So this is a new item. It was not planned for in this year's budget, right? So we're trying to make this effective within this year. Do we have a sense of what the budget allocation needs to be just for that 1 month that we are in the current fiscal year? So
I do not.
Between cups and signage and all of that.
We do have some early indications on cups, but the overall budget, I do not.
Mr. Manager.
I was going to say that to the cup point, which is the next slide, that'll have potential costs with it of maybe around $15,000 on the high end with the cups, and then looking at the signage, we're still working through details on that. But that's really the bulk of the expense, the cups with the initial investment, and then the signage. But we're still working on that piece.
Okay. And for the signage that we're providing, is that, I know as we're going to talk about in the cups, there's that initial distribution. We're paying for the initial distribution of the signs, or if there's like a replacement, we're paying for that too? I just trying to get a sense of, as we're trying to budget this out, and you may not know the answer, and that's perfectly fine not know the answer, but it's definitely something that we'll want to think about in terms of that budgeting aspect too, of signs, additional
Absolutely.
signs and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on.
Are we gonna
Oh,
make
oh.
a decision here on what scenario we're going for?
I guess we can do that.
So has there been any feedback from the businesses on that? So I think you just indicated that, like, yeah, option A is the way to go. Is that what we're hearing from the business, or is that kind of based on experience from other municipalities? Okay.
Yeah. As well as, staff consensus.
Okay. So you want to make a motion to go with?
I'll make a motion to go with scenario A.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Option A.
Okay. So as our TAM manager alluded to, the next point of discussion is for actually the containers, or the cups, if you will. We have narrowed it down to two options. One is a 16-ounce aluminum cup, and one is a 16-ounce just a clear plastic cup. Both of these cups are 100% recyclable. The main difference is the look and the cost. And so all the logo, the required verbiage, and all that is going to be set, so it's not really debatable at this point. There are some required verbiage and logos, et cetera, that have to be on each cup. This is more about the type of the cup. Again, one's aluminum, one's a clear plastic. You can see the price point there, significantly higher for the aluminum cup. A lot of municipalities, though, are using those, and patrons seem to like those. We did poll our downtown ABC permitted businesses, i.e. the bars and restaurants, to get their feedback, and the majority did say that they would prefer the clear plastic cups. So I wanted to make sure you had that information. Be glad to answer any other questions that you may have.
Is it required to have the same size cup? Because obviously certain drinks have different volumes that are normal.
I don't think so, but I think a standard cup size.
At 16 ounces.
Capped at 16 ounces, yeah.
And you run into issues with the local businesses having kind of storage and maintenance issues of the cups themselves.
Okay. So we're gonna serve a glass of wine in a 16-ounce cup? It just seems weird to me.
So
Sounds good.
That
sounds good.
Are actually pre-measured serving amounts.
Okay.
So the bottom line is actually typically 1 ounce. The second line is typically 5 ounce, and a full cup is 16 ounces. With the one just below the top of the cup at 12.
If somebody pours me a 16-ounce bourbon, like I'm never leaving.
Yeah. If you're on the street of the
Right,
social
exactly.
district, lying down.
Mr. Manager, yes.
Joanna, can you, I got to ask the question again related to stickers and that being a solution, and we did look at that, if you could address that.
Right, so we're suggesting that the cups will have all the necessary information on it, already imprinted on it, as opposed to having some of it imprinted and then actually having stickers. The stickers themselves are not recyclable. So we are choosing to go with the cup, whichever choice it is. These are both 100% recyclable with the required information already imprinted on it and not using the sticker route, which some communities do use that.
It occurs to me that so obviously the cost difference is important. And I could see if you're a business and you're selling a $5 beer, whether the cup costs $1.50 or 50 cents is a big deal. But the aluminum cups presumably would be reused more, right? And that would also lead to some cost savings? No, not so much?
No, it's a one-time thing, right?
Unfortunately,
Good try, though.
Yep.
You guys know Seth, right, from legal?
My apologies. Seth Candle, Assistant Town Council. Just so you understand my background in the social districts, I actually used to be one of the attorneys for the ABC Commission and was very much involved in the drafting and implementation of the social districts throughout the state. The issue you run into with the aluminum cups is actually a cleanliness issue. There are ABC rules that require certain cleaning requirements before a cup can be reused. Most of the time, the aluminum cups do not have the structural rigidity required to go through those cleaning requirements. Some municipalities have taken kind of a step up on the aluminum cup style, and they effectively sell it as a souvenir cup that is infinitely replaceable. You pay a $10 deposit effectively, and you can swap out the cup when you go and use it. The issues that you frequently run into is these cups aren't actually legally allowed to leave the social district. You must dispose of the cup before you leave the social district. And so you are effectively incentivizing a legal concern or a incidental, unintentional violation when you create a souvenir cup that is meant to leave the social district under the current scheme of the social district.
Very good.
It's a very difficult balancing act.
I mean, we're talking about the recyclability of the cups, which is great, but that also means that we gotta collect them in a way that we actually, can separate them from regular garbage. So what's the idea in terms of keeping these cups separate from other trash that is generated, downtown businesses?
And that's another one of the items we're still working through.
But the downtown plan or the plans I've seen have some kind of nicer recycling and trash containers, I think, on the street. So presumably it would fit
The
those
receptacles
cups.
are still, that's, again, still being worked through.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I failed to mention that one of the things to consider as well is that the town has agreed that the first allocation, if you will, of cups, the first mass ordering of cups will be, the town will provide that. So the town is going to purchase the first allotment of cups. Say we purchase 10,000, and then we'll dole those out equally among the businesses that are participating. And then the reordering piece will be the responsibility of those businesses that are participating. And we'll talk about that in a second. So that's, again, I think in part why the ABC permitted businesses that we polled may have preferred the clear plastic cup from their standpoint.
I would suggest that we go with the plastic cup to start. We can always upgrade at a later date if it really takes off. But that seems to be the preference from the businesses. It's easier to store. So I would go with that feedback.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to go with a clear plastic cup.
Second.
I'll second that.
That killer's work got you.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
You can vote for it though. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. All right.
Is it a typo? Because you should order 2 5,000 orders instead of the 10,000 if you're going to do that. Save a cent per. I suspect that's a typo, but anyway.
No.
No? Well, then you should never buy the 10,000 then.
Okay, and then last but not least, speaking of reordering, and this is pretty simple, once those businesses are required to reorder, once they run out, two different options for us to consider, or you all to consider, is that the businesses order from one preferred vendor that the town has chosen, vetted, established. We will make sure they have all the information that they need to put on the cups. And so the businesses would simply contact that preferred designated vendor when they run out, order the cups, pay for them themselves, etc. Or we can let the businesses themselves choose whatever vendor they choose to work with, and it could be 2 or it could be 10 or 12 or who knows how many. But then the town would be responsible for providing that vendor, each vendor, whether it's 2 vendors, 5, 6, however many, we would provide that vendor with the required standard type, logos, etc. And so then that business could choose whatever vendor they prefer. So again, the town goes ahead and vets and prefers and designates a vendor, and that's the one everybody uses, or we let the businesses choose their own vendor, and then we'd be responsible for getting all the correct information to that vendor and ensuring that it then got correctly on the cup that the business is then using.
Well, can I ask you about this one? Well, first of all, I think having it be the same, the number one sounds like more the same and be consistent. But those when you buy in bulk, the price goes down per unit. So like, it seems like there should be. I mean, do we want a third option where the town does this and then just passes along, sells it to the businesses? I'm not sure we want to get into that kind of thing, but a lot of places aren't going to order 5,000 cups at a time if they're small, right?
Right. Well, they could. Right. So. And that's just you
want to be in
that they'd have to work through.
Not really, but that's 10 cents versus the 1,001 per unit difference. But okay, or maybe we can't. I don't know. Yeah.
One of the major issues you're going to run into with ordering the cups in bulk is because the intention is to imprint the information on the cup itself. You have to imprint the different businesses, and so you.
Oh,
you
it's not a common cup that everybody the same thing?
Typically, no. You can usually write on the side, but you have to be able to source the alcohol, and that's the problem. For underage consumption, excess consumption, there's what's known as a source investigation that ALE has to perform if they find that container. And so the 5,000 cups, if an individual business wanted to order 5,000 cups, they would have that authority.
So how would we do it then in the first order? So if we do a 10,000 cup order, we really got to split it up in 20 smaller orders, or are we going to order 20 times 10,000 cups?
There are other possibilities of labeling with pen, so that you can write on the side of the cup. There are concerns there with permeability, and some information can be removed. But it's really trying to find a balancing act of trying to assist the local businesses while ensuring that we are in compliance with the law. And it's, like I said, it can be difficult, but there are some options out there, and a lot of municipalities have found ways to work through it.
Are we sure there's not any recyclable stickers out there?
Unfortunately, this is an area that I sadly know a lot about. And recycling stickers is not actually the issues of the material, but actually the stickiness. It causes a lot of issues with the machines and the processing abilities of the recyclable material. And so that's where you're really in a catch-22 of, if the sticker works and stays on the cup or stays on whatever you put it on, that's great, but it makes it very difficult to recycle. But if you make it recyclable, it's typically very easily removed and doesn't really serve its purpose.
Or how about like a paper sleeve that you slip the cup into?
Well, the removability of it is the issue. Repeat use of the cup, particularly over multiple days, raise concerns of excess consumption or consumption of beverages from outside of the social district. So it's that permeability, permanence aspect that you really have to be concerned about.
It seems to me, to my colleagues, like if we're going to require businesses to put their name on the cup, like we should give them the maximum flexibility to go with a vendor perhaps they already have for other stuff.
I agree.
And there's really, you're arguing about bulk purchasing. I guess it's not really a concern.
I didn't know that when I said that, so I think I changed my mind
I guess that raises the question of, so what happens if someone orders a substandard cup and we discover, oh, you don't have the right logo or it's a little too small or something? Is that on us to go to them and say, hey, you got to throw out these cups? Is that what's the compliance aspect and what levers do we have to ensure conformance? Do you want to check every order beforehand, or is it, trust them? Like, how's that going to work?
So that would come down to the enforcement mechanism that's used for compliance within the social district. Based on the scheme of the social district itself, if your cup that you are selling the social district beverage in is not in compliance, then it's not a social district beverage, and you may only keep and possess that beverage on the premises of the ABC permitted establishment. Once it leaves that establishment, well, then you fall under the ordinance, the open container ordinance that the town has, which doesn't allow open containers just up and down the street. You can't just crack open a Bud Light bottle, on city sidewalks, town sidewalks, and walk around with it. It's the level of enforcement that you want to take to ensure compliance that you come down with. Now, Apex PD doesn't typically enforce ABC laws. Wake County typically does it at the county level through its own ABC law enforcement officers and through the state ALE agency.
Well, it also seems like if we are having to make sure that we provide the logo and all the information to these vendors, that we're also looking at the type of cup that they're ordering to make sure it's under compliance at that point in time too. So
that would be ideal, that we provide all the correct information to them and say, this is what you have to follow. And any deviation from this will put you in non-conformance to the social district regulations.
Okay.
There's a level of just simple anchoring effect. Once you give someone a standard, they tend to get stuck in that standard and recognize that standard as the minimum. If people wish to go above and beyond, but we do just need to make it clear that if you are going to order your own cups, there is a legally mandated 16-ounce limit to the size of these cups. That was something that was strongly pushed for. Well, can we go bigger cups? It doesn't end well.
Okay. So my preference then would be the last one on this one.
Okay, motion.
I'll make that motion that they order through a vendor they choose, using our required standard type logos and verbiage.
Thank you. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Haffey. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for the presentation. All right.
I think this is a great demonstration of the fact that when we do things like this, I mean, this has been a longer road and it's still a long road to go in order to get this off the ground. But this is a great illustration of the idea of when people are like, well, can I just drink downtown? It's like, it's complicated. And I'm just excited to know that we have a lawyer that specializes in drinking, other than me.
Wow, okay. Moving along, new business. New business one, town council committee structure. Ellen Coleman, town clerk.
Yes, good evening. So as most of you know, Game Plan Apex was adopted in September of 2022. This was after several reorganizations that took place in the organization and the creation of several town departments. The Town Council's Rules Committee has met several times and discussed the realignment of the various council committees within the new strategic framework. As many council committees are created decades ago, this at least sets out a clear charter and purpose for existence going forward. The proposed council committee structure creates clear objectives, membership, and advisory board alignment where applicable. Additionally, it ensures each town department has a designated home committee and clarifies where certain policy recommendations should be routed. Council committees, as you know, serve as a policy review and discussion bodies, assisting the council in examining issues in greater detail and developing recommendations for the full body to consider. But they do not have the authority to take binding action on behalf of the council. In June of 2024, the town's department directors considered the proposed changes, as well as in the November 2024 Council's Rules Committee. This framework was unanimously adopted. I'll walk through the proposed framework. As you know, now we have 5 council committees. That is proposed to continue with 5. As you see in the new framework, we've got 5 committees. We've consolidated some and expanded others based on the topics and the nature of what we've been seeing over the last 2 years. The new council committee structures, and again, for those that are watching, this is for council committees, not resident advisory boards. The first one is governance, fiscal stewardship, and internal support. The second is environmental leadership. The third is responsible development. The fourth is vibrant community and economic vitality. And the fifth is public safety. Again, in our current committee structure and the way things are currently aligned, it's not clear where many departments would bring a particular topic. It's a little too broad, and this hopefully narrows that scope. So I will defer to the Rules Committee Chair, Councilmember Happy.
Yeah, I don't have a tremendous amount to add. I'll say what we're doing here tonight, the proposal, I think it's quite modest. We have 5 committees today. This proposal, what it does is it renames them and gives them a charter and describes their scope in a way that hasn't really been written down before. And it provides that direction to staff as to what goes where. And that's something that has come up in the past as needed. And this document, and thank you for the clerk, Alan's done a great job of putting this together, and staff's been working on this for a while. It aligns to our strategic goals. It felt like a good benchmark. 5 committees before, there's still 5 today. There's been some talk in the Rules Committee about putting processes for us around how we use our committees. That is not what's here today. What's here today is us renaming and giving a charter to each committee. And later we'll discuss, and that I've talked to each of you, I think, at some point in the past about having a process or workflow where you have an idea, you bring it to council, it gets referred to a committee, the committee has to vote on it, then it goes from the committee back to council for a second reading, and the council can adopt it. Something like that, where we have items sort of like bills at the State House where we track what's where. That's all coming, but today this is aligning our committees to our strategic goals and giving them each a charter and a clear path for what their scope is. So,
thank you. If I may ask a question, so I like the department alignment, clarifying kind of where departments roll up in the committee structure. There's a couple departments that are listed more than once with an asterisk, and I know we talked about it in one of the work sessions, but the asterisk designates kind of their home committee, and then they're kind of secondary, like in the other committee. Okay,
correct. Yes.
And it's in our power to change that. We can, you want to line and moving these boxes around, we can do that. But this, I think, what's most important is just that it's written down and that it's not just 2 words. It's a paragraph and a chart. Some more clear direction. Thanks, help.
Any other discussion?
To me, it makes sense. Kind of aligning with the organizational changes that we've had. It just kind of makes sense to align everything else along with it.
Can I ask about timing? Because I think there was some kind of this happening this year versus, we're going to have new assignments likely after the election. So was there a thought about the implementation of this?
I don't really have a strong preference. This has been, sitting on the back burner for a year. So, I think aligning it, right now it's aligned to the fiscal year. If you want to align it to the new council being sworn in November, it's fine too. Just redo it. I was talking to Alan beforehand. One of the advantages of that approach, and thank you for bringing that up, is we currently have a calendar of all our existing committees and their meetings going up to November. And one advantage of pushing it back till then would mean we don't have to change the calendar and all that stuff and renotice everything. It's a minor point, but it's one reason to it. I mean, at the end of the day, we have 5 committees before, we still have 5. We're not really changing process around this yet. It's more providing staff direction as to where to go for stuff. So I wouldn't be opposed to deferring the implementation till whatever the date is of the organizational meeting this year, December 5th or something. We could actually probably line up a bunch of stuff on that day. If we do have that process change, they could all be effective that day as well, and sort of have it be a switch over with the new council.
I think that makes sense. I think it makes a cleaner break to do it like at the organizational meeting.
Okay, that's your motion.
Yeah, I'll move adoption of the new committee structure effective the date of the 2025 organizational meeting.
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
And second.
Second, Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carries unanimously. All right, new business 2.
Okay, new business 2. This is to, as you know, we have our regular council meeting agenda format. This is to adopt a framework for that format. In the attached agenda, you will see that there are similar sections, but there have been some expansion of some and clarification of others. So I'll just walk through the recommended regular meeting agenda format. Starting with commencement, invocation, and the pledge. Same as what we have today. Number 2 is new. This is allowing the governing body to make announcements should they so choose, as well as if there's any petitions. Councilmember Mahaffey mentioned that, you know, if items are being brought up and going to be deferred to committee, this would be the time when you would bring that up before the governing body, and then you would redirect it to go to a committee if you so choose. Item 3 is the adoption of the regular meeting agenda. That is moving that up. That's a standard vote, standard process. Our consent agenda. Number 5 is our council committee reports. This would be something monthly. Several of you have asked for kind of regular and routine updates from the various council committees. This would put the chair of that committee on notice, so to speak, but each month there would be a regular update, not only for each other, but also to the public. This also continues with the town manager's report. This adds a space for the town clerk to have a report, providing legislative updates, appointments, and so forth would fall under this report versus them being under the consent agenda. We also have the public art moment. There's also been a desire to bring more awareness to our public art in the community. This would happen quarterly, so it would not be every meeting, and it certainly would not be even monthly. It would be quarterly to bring awareness to the public art features that we have in town. Public forum, matters not on the printed agenda. We would have proclamations and special presentations, public hearings. The regular agenda, this is a consolidation of old business, new business, and unfinished business. In the past, it's been unclear where certain items would fall. Is it old business or is it unfinished business? New businesses have been a little bit more clear, but at least this sets aside 2 agendas for the council, a consent agenda and then a regular agenda. And then information items. Those are items that will not be discussed at the council meeting, but that is a way for the public to be made aware of certain reports that may be available. And then closed session at the end and adjournment.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Can I ask so this was also from the Rules Committee, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, then I guess the question for one of you guys is, you know, some of our nearby local governments have made news, including some national news in that section about when they've had the remarks from each of the members of the government. And the question, I guess, for you is, are there guidelines that we're thinking about as far as like what's appropriate? I know it's us, so we can talk about whatever we want, but like, is there appropriate guidelines for topics in that? Maybe not talking about national news, but more kind of be focused on town stuff, or maybe not personal stuff either. I'm not sure what you talk about. Kind of the topics that are appropriate for that beginning section.
I have 2 thoughts. First thought is America. Say what you want.
Yeah. Okay.
But the second thought is we do adopt an ethics policy as a council, and presumably we would be bound by that, and we would be, expected to adhere to that while we're on the dais. So, to your point about what the expectations are, I think if you have certain expectations, that they should probably be in the ethics policy.
Okay.
But it's a public forum.
I would suspect that would be a time when, if I was to bring up something, it would be like a community event that you went to and showcase that, or a resident concern that was brought up to you that you're able to share with the rest of the community, those types of things.
Okay.
That's the way I view it.
Great. I love that stuff. I think keeping it really ultra local would be important in that, because I don't want to repeat some of the things I've seen on the news.
No kidding.
Anything else?
I would make the recommendation that the public, that our proclamations, I think having that closer to the beginning of the meetings is, I think that's a value add for those who are here for those sort of proclamations. They can stay, and that way they're not sticking around through. I mean, conceivably, best case scenario, this is an hour of materials, best case scenario, before we get to recognizing some of the folks who may be here just to, you know, be here for a proclamation, or we've got a Girl Scout troop that's here to say hello, and
cheerleaders.
Yeah, cheerleaders or students or anybody else who needs to be here.
Stunt cheerleaders.
Yeah. So
I was thinking that before.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think that in terms of kind of as we think through this agenda, I think it's important to kind of keep in mind that we are adding additional components. We are by nature adding additional time, and as we add more time, you know, we want to make sure that we are good stewards of the public's time that want to be here. And, you know, if we can move proclamations up, or as well as things that I think grab the general interest of the public, I think that is a better plan for us.
I think there's a way to solve that. Alan has the controls. You got 3 minutes, just like the public. Be done. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well,
I'm not worried about us. We can shut each other up.
Can we just move it?
Are you serious?
Move it on
Yeah.
this list? I mean, was it thought through? I mean, why not put that earlier?
So
That's a
Yeah,
concern.
proclamations and and special presentations.
And I know we discussed, Alan, do you recall what the rationale was? I know we discussed all this, and there's always reason to put stuff earlier. Like, I mean, 5, 6, 7 is us talking about stuff, and that's information you want to deliver to the public. Maybe you want that when most people are here. I think the thought may be people get the proclamation, they go home. Right. People come for you know, various proclamations. If they're all here for that, that's an opportunity for us to give them information they may not have. You know, it shouldn't take too long. But you're right. Like, you know, there ultimately has to be an ordering to this stuff. It can be whatever we want.
I think if we move it, it shouldn't really be any higher than 8, kind of swapping those around.
Right.
That would be my preference.
Cool. And the other thing, as Councilmember Haffey said, you know, the council committee reports is monthly, so that won't be on every, and then the public art moment is quarterly. So that, but certainly, and then I believe there was an email that was shared from a constituent today about also moving up the public forum piece. So that's something for you all to consider as well.
There's no right answer. It's whatever the preference of the guys is. You know, we could do it all first and have everyone leave, or we could make them sit and listen to us for 10 minutes. You know, I mean, again, to the point about the council committee reports, it's not going to be every committee every month. It'll be if you had a meeting that had some action. That's where you report out to the public and to your colleagues what the actions taken were. Like, we, you know, adopted this parks plan, or we decided, you know, whatever. Like, that's right now. You just don't know until it comes back in some other form. So it's a good mechanism, I think. Some of the other stuff, you know, one, adoption agenda is quick, consent agenda is quick, town manager report, also 3 minutes. I think some of the stuff goes pretty quick. It's just a matter of having it there as a list to tick through where the mayor's going through. Okay, clerk, what do you got? You know, Randy, what do you got? Okay, down the row, you, okay. You know, could be relatively quick. But again, the order, there's really not going to be a strong preference here. It could be whatever you want. If you want to move it up to 8, I don't think we get much of an argument.
If we make that switch, right, and then because moving up the proclamations
and public forum, or just proclamation.
And so if we, I think, take public art and move it below proclamation, so basically move up public forum and proclamations.
So move 8 to.
So move 8 to 10, and so 9 becomes 8 and 10 becomes 9.
Mm-hmm. Is that the only
recommendation? And we can change this at any time, right? So if we do 3 meetings and it doesn't work for us, then we can say, okay, like, we gotta change the format.
Yeah, this is, we're certainly not married to this forever. This is another format.
So in general, I like the additions of the separate topics, especially, you know, making more use of our committees and having these committees come back to us before something comes to us for a vote. Mm-hmm. I think is a strong addition. You know, some of the other items, you know, we're just parsing out something that we're kind of lumping together under presentations today, and we make them, you know, give them kind of a more of a designated home. So I think it makes sense. You know, with that one change, let's give it a try and again, if it doesn't work for us, we'll take another kick at it.
Before we vote, I thought we had talked about, maybe hadn't passed the policy, to have the resident advisory committees give a report at some frequency.
That's annual.
That's annual, is what we're thinking. And are they all gonna do it on the same day? Like, I think we talked about that a little bit too, or is it gonna be, because staggered, well, then it probably needs to be in this, right? Because it's gonna end up being not annual. For us, it will be.
They would fall under special presentations.
Special presentations, okay.
All right, we got a motion, Zigerman.
So, yeah, I'll make a motion with the adjustment that we just outlined.
Swapping 8 and 10.
Swapping, it's basically moving 8 to 10 and moving public forum and proclamations up one spot on the list.
In terms of effective date, can I ask you, is your intention to also make that effective the next?
Sure, effective, what's the preference from the rules committee, July 1st?
Well, we just moved the committee structure over. I mean, if we're, at a certain point, it makes sense to switch everything over at once and not just have, okay, this month we're having this change, this month we're having this change.
The organization meeting, December 3rd, 2025.
All right.
December 3rd, not, okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mahaffey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carries unanimously. All right, move now to closed session 1 and 2. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Gant, Mayor Pro Tem, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving to closed session.
Are you telling her about the plant question that you received, Audra?
Live?
You said we should be live.
We are live. Okay, all right. Any further business? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Y'all have a great night.